We had a dream, and in that dream we saw Julius Caesar riding into Pittsburgh for the G20 summit on his white horse, just about the time Libya's Colonel Gaddafi was trying to pitch his party tent on the Donald's Bedford lawn. It took 94 minutes for Caesar to maneuver through the fray of plebeian protesters before triumphantly marching up the Civic Center steps where the new millennium's world leaders were assembled en masse under the banner of economy and democracy. Caesar may have lost a battle or two in his day, but he never lost a war, and his dark, age-old debate with Jupiter was no different. None of the gods were surprised to see Jupiter finally acquiesce in allowing Gaius Julius to transcend the millennial span on a dream ride into 2009 AD so he could see what remained of his illustrious legacy. Sitting astride his fine steed, Toes, in the middle of Pittsburgh, Caesar broadly surveyed his modern-day surroundings, took inventory of what old Republic hand-me-downs were still in evidence today, and made a summary assessment of Roman contribution to 21st century operations. Every direction he surveyed prominently flaunted vestiges of ancient Roman Greco-urban master planning. J.C. found himself surrounded by a forum of modern-day government buildings, civic centers offering public gathering places, plenty of holy temples to the gods, sports stadiums modeled after the beloved Colosseum, amphitheaters for the performing arts, parks, and even the standard Victory Parade route. Togas were obviously out, and sadly there was not a public bathhouse in sight. The closest he could get was a 24-hour fitness, and everyone he saw sweating in the window had their clothes on. Well, sort of. Surprised by the overall plumpness of the populace not sweating at the gym, Caesar thought a vomitorium comeback might not be such a bad idea. And the month of July? It was still coming around once a year, right in time for his birthday. While he can't take credit for the Caesar salad or the life-saving cesarean section, even though he and Queen Cleopatra did have a son named Caesarion, J.C. was shocked to see that his melting pot blend and merge approach to religious doctrinal unification had been cast aside in favor of pronounced civil dissension born out of intolerance and arrogant sect supremacy. Back in Caesar's time, marriages were simply mergers designed to create corporate-styled alliances for the purpose of growing the family business. He could see little had changed in that arena. As far as strong, powerful women who knew how to rule a kingdom went, few could equal Cleopatra in his experience, and his old buddy and cousin, Mark Antony, could back him up on that one. As far as women knowing their place in a man's world, it looked as if the campaign for gender equality was still waging on. Little seems to have changed in the political arena as well. He watched as those G20 global governments predictably finessed their way through the agenda in the traditional, part democratic, part oligarchic, elitist manner he knew so well. Caesar did, however, find the new republic's budgetary crisis a bit intriguing. Perhaps that's because Rome had ruled for a millennium without ever having a budget. He couldn't help but laugh, though, when he heard the familiar high-pitched squeals of the upper classes when the subject of them paying taxes came up again. Some things just never change. Gaius Julius Caesar had naturally been born into patrician high society, yet he'd always prided himself on being a populist and man of the people. The Republic of Rome was more important than the individuals it was comprised of, and he was pleased to hear that a contemporary world leader named John F. Kennedy had kept the torch burning when he proclaimed, "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country." After gloriously expanding Rome's real estate holdings during the course of an exemplary military career, Caesar could deservedly declare in triumph, "I came, I saw, I conquered." Unfortunately, the faithful demise of Julius Caesar didn't occur on the battlefield as one would expect, but it came shrouded in cowardice from those closest to him. Like the Roman Republic itself, Caesar was taken out from within. et tu, Brute? And then we woke up and knew the die had been cast. It seems the world leader crusaders have mobilized a campaign in earnest to defend democracy as the new religion and internationalism as the new book of doctrine. As the crusaders press on for absolute global conversion, do we need to worry that the new global government will become too big to fail? Rise of the Global Republic was originally posted on September 27, 2009, basically 9 years ago. The inspiration behind this dream sequence was hard to miss, especially after that masterful 94-minute performance and 6 times his allotted 15-minute time slot given by Libya's leader and chair for the African Union, Colonel Muammar Gaddafi, at the United Nations General Assembly on September 23, 2009. It was a derisive focal point of every mainstream media outlet for many days. Not unlike Sinead O'Connor's shocking performance on October 3, 1992, when she tore up a picture of the Pope on live television, Gaddafi's diatribe saw him rejecting, among numerous other things, the fakery of the UN Charter before vetoing said charter, then tearing it up in front of the day's delegates. While some of the media opted to outright gaslight Colonel Gaddafi for flagrantly opposing the official agenda and not playing by the official rules, many in the mainstream blamed his erratic behavior on lack of sleep. At the time, we weren't quite sure why no one would give Colonel Gaddafi a safe place to pitch his luxury tent, or even a hotel room for that matter. It was reported that Donald Trump had agreed to lease Gaddafi some acreage on his property in Bedford, Connecticut, with enough room for his high-profile tent, but withdrew the offer last minute for reasons unknown. To us, all of this seemingly unrelated drama was auspicious, making it right for a crazy Ivan with the face of Julius Caesar, the very embodiment of ancient Rome, and a 21st century progress report. The reality this post brings to bear is that all roads lead to Rome. From ancient Rome to Washington, D.C., which was formerly known as Rome, Maryland, to the Rome we know today as the Vatican. Even when things don't appear to be under the influence of Roman rule, we know enough now to know that they are. The imprint is unmistakable. So how close to reality were we? The New World Order, one world government, one world currency agenda, under the misdirection of the Vatican through its global networks, is also unmistakable. All one has to do is research the United Nations approval and enforcement of Agenda 21 and later Agenda 30 to recognize that the UN has been one of the premier global organizations used to propel this malevolent New World Order agenda forward. Maybe Colonel Gaddafi was onto something after all. Ancient Rome has historically been considered a republic. Many have said that the United States of America unincorporated, in its original form, is a republic as well, when in fact it is a federation of 50 sovereign states or 50 state republics, with each state being basically a sovereign nation unto itself. The sovereignty aspects built into our national structure from the beginning has posed a problem for this century-old New World Order agenda because any kind of presumed sovereignty is in direct opposition to an enslavement agenda. Hence the centuries of strategic and fraudulent corporate workarounds that included the hijacking of our financial system, our legal system, and our natural resources, which does include the labor and creativity of we the people. And then they lied about our history. Perhaps it's time for we the people to reconsider what we think we know about the land of our birth and those who have been running it into the bloody ground. But what we really want to know now is, do the seemingly unrelated executions of Colonel Muammar Gaddafi in 2011 and former President John F. Kennedy in 1963 have something in common? And this brings us to the deeper question going forward. Will the Vatican be taken out from within, just like Julius Caesar? Et tu, Pope?